Hello, this is Congressman Gingrey, and welcome to This Week in Washington for the week of March 15th. It's been a long week, and it's not over. In fact, I think all of you at this point probably know what's going on in Washington if you've watched any television at all. It's all about the health reform bill that the Democratic majority and President Obama have been pushing on the American people for well over a year. I'll be quite honest, as a physician who practiced 31 years, I have great concerns about this bill. And my biggest concern, if we want to just cut right to the chase, my biggest concern is that it will lead inevitably to a total government takeover of our healthcare system. That's 1/6 of our economy. Something like $2.5 trillion a year in this country are spent on healthcare. I don't want the federal government to take over health care. This becomes a life or death, literally, situation for our patients. They don't want government bureaucrats telling doctors what they can prescribe in the way of medication, what treatment plan and the way of treating illness, whether it's medication or surgery or, you know, it's just not, the way that this country was founded. We got away from European, Western European socialism 230 years ago. And I honestly believe it's a step in that direction, and that is my greatest concern. So I'm fighting, and I'm fighting it every step of the way. My Republican colleagues, every one of us in the House and Senate, all 12 MDs on the Republican side of the aisle, 10 in the House and 2 in the Senate, with probably 500 years of clinical experience. We've all got a little gray hair by our temples. We've been there, we've done that, we've seen this. We know what it is needed to reform healthcare system, like medical liability reform is an example, like association health plans, allowing individuals to go across state lines, not travel, that's what the internet is for, and to purchase the best policy, the lowest premium policy, the one that best fits their needs or the needs of their family. We know how to create high-risk pools within the states. We know how to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. All of these things we've told President Obama and the Democratic majority, but they just won't listen. They won't listen to us, that's sad. But much sadder is the fact that they're not listening and will not listen to the American people when 70% are saying, we don't want this, Mr. President. We want you to start over, work in a bipartisan way with the Republicans, and then we'll see who truly has the best interest of the American people in mind and not the special interest. And all these deals that have been cut trying to get this bill passed, the Cornhusker Compromise, the Louisiana Purchase, the Gator Aid down in Florida, and on and on and on. And now as we get to the final day of the bill, which probably will come to the floor on Sunday afternoon, just a couple of days from now, the Democrats they've schemed their way, in fact I call it scheme and deem, that their Democratic members who are worried about their next election because the people back home are telling them don't vote for this, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, and President Obama tell them vote for this. If you don't vote for it, we're going to break your arm. If you do vote for it, we'll promise you a special favor. So they've devised this thing where the Democrats, if they vote for the rule to bring the bill to the floor, it will deem, D-E-M, passage of the bill. So they avoid that having their fingerprints, you know, you can't follow the dots, so to speak. This is totally wrong in the process part. I don't want to get too much in the weeds of that, but the policy is the main thing, and I already mentioned about my fear of government takeover. But the other thing that I'm so concerned about is the cost. The Congressional Budget Office, the accountants that work for the Congress, of course they're hired by the Speaker of the House, they even say that this is, while over the next 10 years it's going to reduce the deficit maybe $130 billion, the deficit today, the deficit right now is $1.6 trillion, and we owe $12 trillion. And this is just going to make it that much worse. We're going to spend another $1 trillion to do this. And we're going to still have people uninsured. God help them though, because the IRS is going to track them down. And if they don't have a health insurance policy that the government likes, not necessarily the one that they like, they're going to have to pay a fine. And you know what? If they don't pay that fine, they're going to be put in jail. Can you imagine that? A requirement that everybody, even if they don't want it, to purchase health insurance? It's one thing to encourage, and we do, and I do as a physician, but to require, I think, and I think you think, that's clearly unconstitutional. We're going to continue to fight hard up here. I think we've got an even chance to stop this, and then come together in a bipartisan way and do the right thing and truly improve the greatest healthcare system in the world, and yes, rein in some of the abuses of the health insurance industry. But it's not a totally bad industry, just like the private student loan industry was not a totally bad industry. The Democratic majority has destroyed that, and now it's the government that's making all the student loans. In the process, 80,000 men and women in the private sector that work in the banking and loan industry have lost their jobs because there's nothing for them to do. That's what they did. They processed those loans. And you know, the dirty little secret is the federal government is going to borrow money at 2.5%, and they're going to lend it to our students who are struggling to get a college education or go to graduate school. They're going to lend it at 6.5% to 7%. That gives the government about a 4% spread. And it's estimated that they're going to rake in on that program about $68 billion over the next 10 years. We could use that, I guess, for health reform, but no, that will end up going to some other social welfare program as this administration and this Democratic majority continues to push for a government takeover of our lives, every aspect of our lives. Big government. You know, let's create a nice, comfortable hammock for our citizens to lie in, and let's keep handing things out to them and make them totally dependent on the welfare state. Ladies and gentlemen of the 11th District, I fear this. I fear this greatly. And I'll continue as long as I have the privilege of representing you to fight this until my last breath. Thanks so much for being on the YouTube with us today. Those of you who don't know, my website, www.gingrey.house.gov, and the icons for our social networking are right there to click on, whether it's Facebook or this YouTube feature, or indeed even Twitter. I'm trying to learn all these additional ways, social networking it's called, but additional ways to communicate with you to make it easier for you to communicate with me. I wish I could be home in the district more, but we can continue to talk, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks a lot.